this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Hey, and welcome to The Short Stuff. I'm Josh, there's Chuck, and on the back of each of our heads is a little devilish fiend named Jerry.
I knew that was coming.
Each of us has a Jerry on the back of our heads, and we hate it so much.
Oh, I just punched the back of my head all day long.
Yeah.
And you know how I end up hurting? Just me.
Yeah, it's true. She can move just in time.
Big thanks to Dave Ruse, but this is from the HowStuffWorks.com side.
Sure.
And we're talking about Edward, not Mordake. It's Mordake. I thought it was Mordake until 25 seconds ago before we recorded.
Oh, I'm glad we sorted that out, by the way.
I looked this over and over and over, and I said Mordake in my brain every time, but there is no R, and there is no Edward Mordake.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler.
Sure. No, I think that's fair. He does exist in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
At least on paper, specifically a paper called the Boston Sunday Post.
Yeah.
There was an article in 1895 that was published in the Sunday Post that was written by an author named Charles Lowton Hildreth.
Mm-hmm.
Great name. Super 19th century name.
Yeah.
And the article was about essentially... What's the word I'm looking for, Chuck?
A gentleman suffering from a rare defect?
Not just him, a bunch of different ones. So the headline was The Wonders of Modern Science. The subhead was Some Half-Human Monsters Once Thought to Be of the Devil's Brood.
That's right.
And so in this article, there were a number of different poor people who were half crab, half person.
Mm-hmm.
One guy who had hands where his feet were and feet where his hands were. How
about the melon child of Radnor, whose head looked like a ripe melon and had a small vertical slit for a mouth?
Yeah, there was a vicious creature that was half man, half crab with monstrous nippers and big claws below the elbow. The Norfolk spider is particularly creepy. You want to tell them about him?
The Norfolk spider, yes. That was the spider with the human head, of course. And a clergy person confirmed this by saying, I wish Smeagol was around to read this, but I will. I saw this monstrous thing myself. Otherwise, I would not have credited so awful a manifestation of the Creator's wrath.
That was very good.
Thank you.
So there were some illustrations, too, including of the Norfolk spider, and he looks more confused than scary. But a giant spider with a human head is just unsettling on all sorts of levels.
Yeah. But we're focusing on Edward Mordake. I want to say R in there so bad. Mm-hmm. But Edward had a condition, a congenital defect, wherein he had a shrunken second face on the back of his head, which is why you joked about Jerry being on the back of our head. Mm-hmm. And this face would actually speak, and it was sort of like an evil twin. They called it the devil twin that would whisper in his ear, such that Edward Mordake would eventually take his own life at 23 years old. However, and of course, none of this is true.
No. Despite the fact that in this article, The Wonders of Science, that was published in 1895 in the Boston Sunday Post, written by Charles Lowton Hildreth, cites the Royal Scientific Society that had reported on all of these different people. Mm-hmm. It was totally made up. In fact, Charles Lowton Hildreth was a science fiction writer.
Yeah.
Speculative fiction at the very least.
Yeah, poet too.
Yeah.
For good measure.
He had a really great imagination. And the paper he was working for, the Boston Sunday Post, is Dave Ruse equates it with the National Enquirer today.
Yeah.
Maybe even the World Weekly News almost in this case. But
I used to love the Weekly World News.
yeah, I always say it backwards, kind of like you want to say Mordake.
What'd you say, World Weekly News?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So Hildreth just basically sat down and let his imagination pour out into an article, cited the Royal Scientific Society, the Boston Sunday Post published it, and it came out in a newspaper. A year later, Hildreth dies, but the story goes on.
Shall we be right back?
Yes.
Right after this.
Stuff you should know. Stuff you should know.
The springtime thaw is finally here. Flowers are blooming. Days are longer. We're saying yes to more plans and finally getting outside, running, walking, just moving again. It's the perfect time to upgrade your everyday go-tos with Bombas. Take Bombas sports socks. They're super comfortable and designed with sport-specific tech for running, cycling, yoga, hiking, you name it. I use them to run in, and I can tell you they work beautifully. So head over to bombas.com and use code SYSK for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com, code SYSK at checkout.
Hey everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's US-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
All right. Like you said, the author of that original Sunday, what was it? Sunday Post?
Boston Sunday Post. It came out on Fridays, weirdly.
The paper of record is how they called it. He died in 1896, and this was a year after he wrote that story. But in that same year, there were a couple of doctors who published a legitimate book called The Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine, and said it was, quote, derived from an exhaustive research of medical literature. And they included an entry on Edward Mordake. And what they did was basically the modern internet, because they copied word for word what Hildreth had written and pasted it into their own work as fact.
Yeah. So what they copied and pasted that was in the original article was essentially this, that Edward Mordake was a very handsome young man. He had it all. Mm-hmm. He was a scholar. He was a musician.
And then some.
Yeah. Yeah, right. He was very handsome, very graceful. He just had a big problem, and that was he had an evil twin face on the back of his head that said all sorts of terrible stuff to him. No one else could hear what it was saying except Edward, but you could watch its lips gibber without ceasing. Mm-hmm. And the eyes of the face would follow you around the room if you were in its field of vision. And Edward just couldn't stand this thing. He asked the doctors to crush the second face, even if it meant he was going to die as a result. Right. He didn't care at that point. So much so, like you said, he took his life by drinking poison at age 23. And he left, the Royal Scientific Society said, a note that said, when you bury me, destroy the face on the back of my head, lest it continues its dreadful whisperings in my grave. So this was the story of Edward Mordake that Hildreth originally wrote, that these American doctors published as fact in an actual book. So this is gone from being in a paper to now being in a book by doctors who claim that it's from an exhaustive research of medical literature, which gives it a real veneer of reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also failed to mention that the devil twin was a girl.
Oh, yeah.
A beautiful girl, lovely as a dream, hideous as a devil, but exhibited every sign of intelligence of a malignant sort, however. It sounds like one of our Halloween stories.
Yeah.
Like, fully. But like you said, none of it was true. However, this is a thing that sort of can happen. And one of the reasons why people believed it for a long, long time is that there are some very, very rare congenital defects where you can have a face on your head, like two faces. One's called craniofacial duplication, or diprosopis, that is Greek for two-faced, and fewer than 50 cases worldwide, I believe, since 1864. Most of those were stillborn. It's very, very sad, obviously, but very, very rare. And also happens a lot in the animal kingdom. Well, not a lot, but happens in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like a chicken with two faces? That's what that is.
So there was a baby girl born in India in 2008, I remember. And she had two faces and was actually worshipped as a reincarnation of the Hindu goddess Durga, who was a divine feminine energy who was very good, by the way, because she defeated a demonic army of evil.
Yeah.
But she had 3 eyes and multiple arms. And the little girl, I think, reportedly died at 2 months. I remember that, don't you?
Sort of.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
There was another girl who was born, I think, around the same time, if not a couple of years before or after. Her name was Manar Maged. She was born in Egypt in 2005, so a couple of years before. She had a slightly different version of this called craniopagus parasiticus.
Yeah.
And this is not where you have like a extra face on your face. You have an entirely conjoined twin attached to the back of your head. The problem is that the twin is considered parasitic. It doesn't have any organs of its own. It doesn't have a brain. It just has like the body, but the stuff that's inside the parasitic twin is actually sucking the nutrients and the lifeblood and everything out of the surviving twin. So it's a really deadly situation. And yet there at least 3 people, including Manar Maged, have had their parasitic twin removed and have lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, a lot of times there are no limbs. Like I've seen sort of like a full head attached to a head with what looks like just sort of an upper torso.
Yes.
It can happen in various stages, or various ways, but it doesn't happen like you talk about rare. This one is listed as 6 out of every 10 million births. So super, super rare. And there are different times that Edward Mordake has been portrayed in pop culture.
Right.
Like there was a Tom Waits song called Poor Edward. If you followed American Horror Story during the Freak Show season, there was a character named Mordake. The R is finally in there.
Right.
That was based on him, obviously. But if you've ever Googled that and just heard about the story and then seen a mummified head with the face on the back and as Edward Mordake, it is very compelling and realistic. But that is a fake. It's what's known as a gaff, which is joke art. And the artist was Ewert Schindler.
So the real reason that people believe it was a thing is in part because of the photos, but more to the point because those photos were shared along with the story as if it were real on Facebook. Yeah. That's why people believed it. It was shared at least 260,000 times, so it went kind of viral, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And people were like, God, this poor guy, this is awful. And nobody stopped to think, like, is this real? Did this guy really have a face that would torment him and say evil things that only he could hear? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And that's an actual big problem today. And this is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess if you believe in clones and shapeshifters and people making clouds, on TikTok, I think you should stop and reevaluate things for a minute and see what you come up with.
Short Stuff is out?
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.